Hello and welcome to PRSay. This is the official podcast of the Houston chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. My name is Veronica Sofer. I'm your host, and I have the pleasure of bringing to you phenomenal members of our organization who are looking to grow our network here in PRSA in the Houston area and connect and really figure out how we can support each other in the spaces that we're in. So, here on PRSay, we have lots of great conversations with our members, and our goal is for you to reach out and connect with each other. But before we get started and I introduce you to our guest, I'd like to remind you to hit subscribe if you are listening on the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments, and my guest and I will be sure to circle back and say hello. So let's go ahead and get this episode kicked off. I have Philip Immenschuh. Did I say that right, Philip?
Yeah, you said that good.
All right. Okay. I practiced a little bit, guys. So you practiced too before you meet Philip in person. Welcome to PRSay. We are so excited to meet you.
I appreciate it. It's awesome. Thanks for having me on the podcast. This is
You
nice.
bet. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do in the PR space here.
All right, yeah. So my name's Philip Immenschuh. I work right now up in Norman at OU in the it's with the foundation. I'm on the annual giving team. So my connection with PR, I do it's labeled under like marketing efforts, but there's more like a PR focus for it. So there's different student organizations that have crowd funds throughout the year,
Mm-hmm.
and so I help with organization for that,
Mm-hmm.
like pulling the data list to send their emails about their event out to, and um, target potential donors to their campaign on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So
So in that
really you're in the
space.
development space. You're really in that fundraising space that a lot of us find ourselves in sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And how to like represent the organization through email before they've gotten a chance to meet people that go to their event, like how to portray their personal brand on like a digital format.
Yeah, and that's so important, especially now because used to be development was mailing campaign letters and making phone calls, working a phone bank, especially at the university in the higher ed space. It was nothing for
Yeah.
people to make phone calls, but you guys do it a little bit differently now, don't you?
Yeah, it's gotten more digital lately, and we've seen that focus more towards like social medias. It's
Mhm.
interesting being a part of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, how did you find that position? Was it an internship or was it a placement or how did you get put in that position?
Oh, okay. So I graduated with a marketing degree at OU,
Mhm.
and then just as I'm looking for jobs that I would be qualified for with a marketing degree, I came across like the OU Foundation and what the annual giving team was, and it piqued some of my interest. So I went ahead and applied, and thankfully I was able to get the job, and I really
That's
enjoy it.
awesome. So is this your first job out of school then?
It is. I graduated, I guess like almost a year ago, so last May. It's
That's
my first
awesome.
first job. But
Yeah, well, congratulations. That's great, especially so you're a marketing major.
correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Were you a member of PRSA when you were in school?
I went to some of the meetings. Yeah, I was a little bit involved in that.
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's great. So how did you get involved in PRSA, now that you're a professional? Since you're no longer a student, you haven't been for a year or so. How did you get involved in the organization?
So I actually stumbled across it on LinkedIn. So me and a few of my close friends, we made a startup together.
Mhm.
It was called, well, it still exists. It's called Llama. So it's a law management software for document revisions to help
Oh,
students
okay.
that are on law review. So basically what it is they'll take a article that they're editing, and then they'll have to transfer it from editor number 3 up to editor number 2, and then pass it back down. And so that current process is kind of inefficient. Our friend
Mhm.
Sam is a current law student down at SMU in Dallas, and so he noticed some ways he could improve that process. And then he
Mhm.
brought me and my brother on, and our friend Mark, and so we started like developing that. I lead some of like the marketing and PR efforts for the brand, and
Mhm.
so when we were trying to connect with others in that space, I came across the PR, the LinkedIn group, and
Mhm.
so that's
Mhm.
how I became involved in this. And getting to see more like-minded people that are in that space is very influential.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. And that's what it's all about. It's about networking and
Yeah.
making connections. Tell me a little bit more about the platform and how you have, or the project and how you've been marketing it, because it sounds like as a startup, you probably rely on your own individual skills to
Mhm.
really move the project forward. It's not like you've got a team of people behind you. So what are some of the things that you've implemented with this project from a PR perspective?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what we started off doing when we, so my brother Anthony and his friend Mark, they're the software developers, so they coded out the platform, like the website that we use. And so Sam leads more like the what the product's supposed to do and
Mhm.
how we're going to carry that out. And then I like do the PR and marketing efforts. So we were thankfully able to be a part of it was OU startup programs here at OU, and so they helped take us from we were more in that idea stage to getting to launch. So we're set to launch it soon. It's the site's almost fully ready. We have some of
Mhm.
our key factors done, and
Mhm.
so what that was able to teach us was more of that entrepreneurship's part of running a startup, and then it
Mhm.
got to touch on how you represent the product itself
Mhm.
because it's I've drawn some slight similarities for like when you're finding a job, you have to know how to market yourself to others,
Right.
to like employers, to jobs. But now it's interesting seeing that focus on how do I and my team, how do we represent our brand, like to
Mhm.
llama to potential buyers, which would be like the law school and like their purchasing department.
Mhm.
But then the users, like the customers, would be the students themselves. So one thing that we've been running into is how do we make the product um, like likable to the students, but it has to be sold to the purchasing department. So like the person buying the product isn't necessarily the customer. And so
Right.
we're currently working out how does that process work
Mhm.
and it's really PR for like how do we represent it to two different audiences at the same
Mhm.
time.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. You have to literally appeal to two different targets who
Yeah.
have different priorities and who have different functions and may not see value in it for each other. So I think that's a really great, real life way of going through some of those academic functions that are required when we're talking about marketing and public relations. Have you had any success in the startup with sharing any media stories or anything about it?
We haven't yet. We recently made a LinkedIn page for it, and we're trying to connect with different law schools, law students. We're still building that up. Um, what happened about a few months or so ago is Sam ended up having to leave the company to focus more on it's his last semester of law school, being a 3L. And
Sure.
so as he's finishing up that, me, Anthony, and Mark have had to kind of step up our role in the company. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of slowed down lately how like what our next move is going to be. And so they're both computer science majors and they're set to graduate in May as well.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of us being able to get on the same time schedules
Sure.
to work on it. Cause like for me, like I'm done with work at 5, so I can like have more free time. But when you're still a student, you still have like homework
That's
and
right.
different projects.
Yeah. Yeah. But it won't
Yeah.
be long. It won't be long. And I just applaud the effort that you guys have for putting that together and really identifying who has what skills that are going to move the
Mm,
project forward. So, Philip, that is fantastic. And the great thing about
thanks.
well, and I was going to say the great thing about networking with PR folks is that we're
Mm,
all about helping each other out. So I'm going to make sure in the show notes we put your contact information so that people can connect with you, give you ideas, maybe offer some advice or mentorship. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? How do you prefer that other PR professionals make a connection with you?
okay, yeah, awesome. I guess we could use my LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I believe it's just LinkedIn slash Philip Immenschuh, I
Yeah, I was going to
imagine.
say we'll put it in the show notes so people can just click on it.
Yeah, and I guess I can put my Instagram as well.
That'd be great.
I kind of talk about um, the project on there as well. So really just Instagram and LinkedIn, I guess. And
That's
could I
great.
also put Anthony and Mark's LinkedIn
Yeah,
as
for
well?
sure.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that would be great because we're always trying to connect members with each other because there might be some projects that are a really good fit.
Yeah,
And you never know. It's all about the network. So, Philip, it has been great chatting with you. I am just so impressed at the work you've done as a young graduate and in the field and working other projects as well. So, congratulations to you.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being on and make sure you tune in. And when people reach out to you, make sure that you tell them that to check out all the episodes of PRSay because we want to make sure the other connections are happening too.
Exactly. I'm excited to see the next episode.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Make sure you connect with Philip. It sounds like he's got some great projects. PRSA is all about supporting each other and finding opportunities to grow. So if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments and we will be sure to connect. We will catch you at